Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Buer. It's West Virginia Derby Saturday at Mountaineer Park, and one of the signature undercard races is the 7th. We're going a mile and a 16th for the Grade 3 West Virginia Governors. Some nice older horses going a mile and a 16th for 200,000. Let's take a look at this field. We have last year's West Virginia Derby winner in this race, the number 2, Mr. Wireless, who appears to be slowly racing his way back into form for Brett Calhoun.
Yeah, it's a pretty good field overall. I think they got some nice horses to show up for this race. And you're right, Mr. Wireless, obviously you don't have to worry about him shipping back to Mountaineer, where he ran really well to win the West Virginia Derby last year. Comes off a nice win at Indiana too, Dan. This horse is third off the layoff, and he's a major player in here.
He has good tactical speed, and that could play well in this race. As we throw up the Timeform US pace projector, our friends at Timeform US have noted this race with a red bar. Fast pace. Likeable is fast. He should show speed. So Dialed In is cross-entered at Thistledown, I believe. So we'll see if he runs here. Visit timeformus.com after scratches are made official. This pace projector will automatically update, but I do think the pace will be solid for this kind of money in this big a field.
Yeah, I think there's certainly that possibility. Initially, when I went through the race, I didn't think about it that way, but certainly it feels like the 6 and the 7 are probably both going to go forward in here. They both have speed. They're also both, pretty big long shots in this race. So we'll see how this whole thing plays out, but it could certainly be fast.
Making his stakes debut in his 26th lifetime start is the number 1, Perfect Sense, who's coming into this race in very sharp form, deserves an opportunity against better horses. He's won his last 2 at Thistledown, including this 3rd level allowance over a wet track on July the 18th. This race at a mile, we see him on the outside grind down the leader and go on his way. He has earned respectable Beyer speed figures in his last 2 starts and seems to be in career form.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to step him up, you might as well do it now, because his last 2 races are the best he's ever run, including this one. Obviously, this has been a pretty good claim for this owner-trainer. They took him for 6,500. He's in really good form right now. He's also in a very tough spot.
Mr. Wireless, the number 2, had an excellent 3-year-old campaign. Not only did he win last year's West Virginia Derby, he also won the Indiana Derby. And in his second start off a lengthy layoff, he scored a stakes victory at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Let's watch that race. A mile and 70 yards over good going. He got a nice trip in this race. He got a nice split on the far turn. He was able to make a decisive move to get into this position. And from this point on, he's just better.
Yeah, I like this performance. He got a great ride in this race from Parker, who just, secured the rail into the first turn, made everybody work to clear him. Then he just sat in behind, split horses on the turn, and you can see how easily he won there, Dan. That was a pretty nice performance. Another step in the right direction for this horse. Again, I found it really hard to knock him. I think he's a major player in here.
I agree 100%. Brett Calhoun won the Governors a couple of years ago with one of our favorites, Silver Dust. The 3 is So Dialed In, and So Dialed In, another horse coming into this race in very sharp form. We're going to watch his allowance effort, a 2nd level allowance at Down on July the 12th, going a mile. And this horse showed good speed in this race. He was able to take over turning for home. He wins very easily, and he earned a career best 88 Beyer speed figure. So for a horse that's been seemingly claimed a million times in his career, perhaps he's finally finding himself in start number 25.
Yeah, maybe he is. Another horse that was claimed pretty cheaply and has been in, career best form since that claim. That was a really nice performance that we just watched there, Dan. I don't know if he's going to be able to repeat that, especially as they step him up to face this kind of field, but he ran legitimately well last time.
The number 4, Fulsome, is one of the ones to beat, if not the outright horse to beat in this race. He is a multiple graded stakes winner. He has already won a graded race this year, the Oaklawn Mile. In fact, his only loss this year came against Olympiad, who's one of the top horses in the country and who we'll see Saturday in the prestigious Whitney. Fulsome got the job done last time out with a little bit of class relief. He's just a very dangerous horse, especially if the pace is solid.
Yeah, any pace is really going to help this horse, because he really doesn't have a lot of speed. And, obviously that could work against him when he's going to have, 3 or 4 really nice horses who will probably be in front of him up the backstretch in this race. But this horse is good. And, not only did I really like his last race, I think he actually ran down a pretty nice horse there in Twilight Blue, but he did so in a race that really didn't develop in front of him. They did not go fast in that race, and he had to keep himself within range. He came wide off the turn, and he ran really, really well last time.
Plenty of fast races on his card. He earned a 97 for that win against the race flow last time, 99 in the Oaklawn Mile. 3-1, a very fair price on the morning line. Silver Prospector is one of your all-time favorites, Mike. He got it done in the Steve Sexton Mile 2 starts back, despite being hung out wide just about every step of the way. Now, last time out at Prairie Meadows, I wonder if a mile and an eighth at this point in his career is just a little bit too far for him. He's going to get a cut back to a mile and a 16th, and he does have some tactical speed. It's just that you never really know what you're going to get with Silver Prospector. 4-1 to me on the morning line's a little bit light. I like him when he's a bigger price.
Yeah, that's how I look at him too. When he takes money, I'm just happy not to use him anywhere. And when he gets overlooked in races, even against fields like this, I'm happy to use him because he's pretty good and he's very tactical. He tends to get really good trips in his races. I'm with you about his last race. I don't think he wants any part of 9 furlongs.
The number 6 is Likeable. He's one of the local hopes. He's won his last 3 starts at Mountaineer, including a gate-to-wire performance against allowance horses. But that race was an off-turf allowance, going a mile, and it was a race which he was able to get to the easiest of leads. Timeform US believes, yeah, Likeable's going to be forward, but he's going to face a lot more pressure and a faster pace and tougher horses.
Yeah, all those things just really conspire against this horse. Who, to me, I mean, I've just never really thought this horse was that good anyway. He started his career in New York with Pletcher. You know, I was never a big fan of his then. As far as I can tell, he hasn't gotten that much better since then. To me, he looks like he's in way over his head here.
Yet another sharp horse stepping up in class is the 7, Irish Unity. He's won 2 in a row, including this race at Thistledown on July the 27th, an allowance event where he was on a hard chase, I thought, all the way through the turn, Mike. The horse on the lead still has a good advantage on him, and Irish Unity's just better. He runs right over the top of this tired horse at the 16th pole.
Yeah, that leader is stopping in front of him. This horse still ran pretty well. I like that he showed that he could sit a little bit and still make a pretty nice run, Dan. You know, just another horse who's stepping way, way up in class. And I understand you can enter these races sometimes and it doesn't pull that strong a field. And, you know, and you can make a little bit of noise. This race pulled a pretty strong field, and all these sort of longer shots that are stepping up, they've been very tough.
Another horse stepping up in class, Derby House. All he's done is win 5 in a row, 6 of his last 7. Here's his last race at Parks. This is a second level allowance race, going 2 turns on June the 28th. He is on the outside. He worked out a nice inside out closing trip, and he goes over the top of these horses at the 8th pole.
I like this performance from him since they've switched him back to dirt. He's won 3 races in a row. You know, it's not against this kind of competition, but he's obviously in really good form. I mean, I really like this performance. His figures suggest that perhaps he could at least get a piece of this thing. I like his running style for this race. I mean, he was one of the longer prices. He's not a long price on the morning line. I can't believe he'd be 5-1 at post time in this race. And if he drifts off of that, he's a horse you could use somewhere.
Promise Keeper has some backability. The number 9 for trainer Todd Pletcher. This horse won the Peter Pan as a 3-year-old and only was beaten a length in the Ohio Derby. Todd gave him a lot of time off after that. He's put him in some tough spots. Off the layoff in the Razorback, that was a difficult position. First time off the bench, and he actually ran on a little bit at the end of that race. The New Orleans Classic, he took on Olympiad. We don't have to fault him for that. What happened last time out in that 3rd level allowance race? Didn't have the best post position, may not have had the best setup. Wish he ran a little better.
Yeah, I think 2 things happened in that race last time, because I'm with you. I don't think that he ran a particularly good race, but he also had an impossible trip in there. I mean, he got caught 4 or 5 wide around the first turn. He couldn't get over on the backstretch. He got caught 4 or 5 right around the second turn. He never made a real run into the race. He never actually made his presence felt at any point in there. I was overall pretty disappointed, but he did not get a good trip in that race. His prior couple of races, I just don't really know what to do with him, Dan. His Razorback, I thought, was really good off the layup. He had no chance in there in a race that didn't set up for closers at all. He actually ran really well to just miss 3rd. You know, his New Orleans Classic, I guess you're just supposed to say he wasn't going to be able to win that race with Olympiad in there. I still didn't think he ran a particularly good race.
He has a lot of tactical speed. He doesn't need to be on the lead. He should be sitting in a decent spot, given an alert break, just off the pace sources. Mike mentioned those pace sources are long shots. There's a chance Promise Keeper takes this thing over at about the 3/8 pole and plays Catch Me If You Can. Endorsed is one of our favorites simply because he's been around for a long time. Michael Maker took a gamble. He claimed this horse for $100,000 last summer at Saratoga. And guess what? When you run 4th in the Pegasus World Cup, you're going to get out. He's an honest horse, and maybe this is the right spot for him finally. I've never exactly known what distance he is. Is he a 1-turn horse? Is he a 2-turn horse? Is he he a late running sprinter? I don't know if Maker knows, but he's honest enough.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows. They spent a lot of time trying to make him a sprinter over the last year or two. That kind of worked out. He got a couple of stakes placings. They've gone some one-turn miles with him, and I guess he's run okay in some of those races too. Now they'll stretch him back out around 2 turns. I don't know. Obviously, at a big price, he's not the kind of horse that would be a total shocker, but he never wins.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the West Virginia Governors, a grade 3 on West Virginia Derby Saturday. Fulsome's just the horse to beat. He already has several graded stakes victories. The only blemish on his record this year came against Olympia, and he just is going to get a good setup, it appears.
That's what I thought. I mean, I don't really have a big argument among the 2 or the 4. I just think they're both going to run well in here. I sided with Fulsome. I wanted to put Promise Keeper on top, Dan. I just couldn't do it.
I respect B2 and the 4 in here, and I think you have to use them in all sorts of multiple race wagers. I was taken with Derby House's last race. He's very, very sharp. He should get the right setup. He did get that 97 buyer in his last race, which puts him in the mix if he can just improve a little bit. I think he has to drift off that morning line price. He has to for me to play him. 4293 for Mike, 82410 for me. Good edition of the West Virginia Governors at Mountaineer on Saturday.